Businesses today need to understand that for any function, whether it's sales, it's marketing, it's finance, it's operations, anything, wherever you need to make critical decisions, it must be based on data. In fact, it's not just about critical decisions, it's about the correct decisions. Because if you're the one that is currently just guessing where your next revenue or your next client or the next software is coming from, you're basically destroying your own business. So specifically today, I'm going to talk about the attribution model. And what attribution basically means is putting attributes to customers who deal with your business, right? So in this video, we're going to talk about 4 most important levels of attribution. So the first one is awareness. The second one is lead. The third one is conversion. And the fourth one is the lifetime value. Now imagine a scenario that you're running a law firm back in 1950s, right? Where there was no digital marketing at that time. And what would you do is you created 2 different AdWords, which was essentially selling the same service, but then you had 2 different type of messaging to test it out, right? You printed out 5,000 leaflets for each stand and you put those stands outside a busy street where people are crossing, right? At the end of the day, you realize that from stand A, 5,000 leaflets basically were taken by people. And then from stand B, only 500 were taken. Now, in today's world, when marketers see this, and that's the first level, and most of the marketers actually see only this, they would realize that the stand that is generating more interest is the one that's more likely to convert. So they decide that you gotta put more money into printing of those leaflets the next day. Now, what happens is that this may not be correct, or this may be correct because you've guessed it or you have a little bit data about it, but you start getting calls, and this is where the next attribution starts. So when you start getting calls, you realize that out of those 5,000 people who took leaflets from stand A, 50 called, and then out of those 500 from stand B, 5 called. So when you look at the data, it's basically pretty similar, because in that data it shows that 1% conversion from the ad to lead is happening. Okay, this is similar, right? Conversion, but there's more volume. On the other one, maybe they're gonna convert. But when you get on the phone, you realize that actually out of those 50 people from stand A, everybody was a tire kicker. They did not agree with your prices and they did not take your service, right? But from those 5 people who took your advert from stand B, all of them converted, which means technically stand B has infinitely better conversion rate compared to stand A, which showed you that it generates a lot of interest. So now your decision would be different than when you just started seeing that stand A was generating more interest. So that's something very, very important to understand. But now there is a more deeper thing here, and that's the 4th level of attribution, right? So out of those 5 people, suppose there are 3 people that you're looking at. So one person, you say, asks you, what is your basically service fee? And you say, I take a $5,000 retainer. So out of those 5 people, you see that one guy asks you for your fee and you say it's $5,000. And he says, yeah, that's great. And he goes through the journey and he says in the next 2-3 days when his work is done, he says, you know what? I like you so much because you have given me great customer service. You have given me great success with my problem. You have solved everything. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to give you an additional tip of 5,000. So you basically got $10,000 from this person, right? Now there's another guy who basically said, I cannot afford that retainer. So would you be able to do it for 4,000? And you agree to it. You give him the same level of service, but in terms of the value, both people have a completely different value. Right? So in your data, you need to attach that value to the person you're selling and how he is actually buying you and how profitable that person is for you. Now that value tells you the story that out of those 2 people who are the similar people to this sort of person who I should show my ads to. Now think about it in this way. Later on, this basically moves to the next. Now you have to attach a different kind of value to both of these people, because technically the person who basically gave you a tip should be more valuable in sense that he is providing you with more money upfront, whereas the other person is just asking for a discount, which obviously does not benefit your business. Now moving on to the next stage of attribution, you realize that the person who initially gave you $10,000 just stayed with you for a month. You called him, you asked for referrals, but he did not give you any referrals in return, but he's a happy customer, right? But then the guy who you gave a discount and you basically took 4,000 stayed for you for next 12 months, and he kept on paying 4,000 every single month. That basically means he paid you 48 grand in total compared to the 10 grand that you were looking initially at, which means that now your data will start showing you a different kind of result altogether, which means that now your strategy is going to change or mature towards the sort of people that you want to market to, who can stay longer with you rather than pay you a lot of money upfront and then they just leave. Right. Now, in today's world, all of this can be managed through the attribution model or data-driven model that we call in general with Google or Meta, or even LinkedIn or other ad platforms, because the source of truth is not in your ad account. The source of truth is in your CRM, because that's where everything exists, the decisions, the lifetime value, the way and the journey that the customer experienced. So which means that every sort of data that you attributed with a certain person needs to have a source of truth that then needs to be sent back to these companies. So even if they're using AI to guide their algorithms to sort of optimize your ads, they get the most important, cleanest data that now they have to, work on. And that's how you're not actually spending more in the rat race of ads. What you're actually doing is you're spending less, but getting way more than this. Now, as companies grow, the attribution model gets more complex, because now you need to understand where this person is coming from. Maybe he clicked on Meta ads and then he basically bounced off, and then he later found you on Google and then converted from Google, or the other way around. So that means that complexities will increase and the number of variables would increase. But I think that would be a great thing to tell you in one of the following videos that I'm gonna do. So I hope you understand the attribution model and you understand why clean data is essential for marketing and sales. Have a nice day.